Hello and welcome back to part 3 of Stripping It Right Back. When the ego dies, the soul awakens. Gandhi said that. When the ego dies, the soul awakens. What does that mean? Anyway, I'm going to talk about that today, and I'm going to show you how modes relay and work through the ego. Okay. Now, just to recap, I discussed many modes, the modes that give the mind systemic agency. Modes such as categorization, evaluation, navigation, adding, identification, unification, and so on. All of these a priori modes make up the agency of the mind, and they give the mind systemic scope and scale. Okay, there's a systemic tool in the mind. Now, effectively, I've created a new psychotechnology. A psychotechnology like the Socratic method, the alphabet, mathematics, these are psychotechnologies. They allow the mind to enter the world and organize itself around the reality that we're all trying to understand and thrive in, and they give us more scope and scale with this reality. Okay, so a psychotechnology. So in one respect, I've created the ultimate psychotechnology. I've systemized the human mind, and by systemizing the mind, if you want to find accuracy with things, you have to systemize, okay? So by systemizing the human mind, we can understand how to enter the world of metaphysics in the correct manner and find accuracy with it. How to systemize our place in the metaphysical pond, if you will, okay? So just stay going with this, okay? Stay with me. So anyway, just to recap, we all have the ability to evaluate. We evaluate our day, we navigate our way forward. We've navigated our way forward out of the dark. Okay, we've navigated our way by stars, and today we're navigating our way through science. We navigate the cell, we navigate our way by molecules, we navigate our days. Navigation is always in process, and there's no conscious thought without it, unless we're able to navigate, unless we're able to integrate, unless we're able to evaluate, unless we're able to categorize. We can categorize the fact that we can categorize. We can categorize the fact that we evaluate. We can categorize the fact that we navigate. We can navigate the fact that we categorize. We can navigate the fact that we evaluate. We can integrate with that. So you can see where I'm coming from. Now, you can hear how mechanical this sounds. It's very mechanical, isn't it? We navigate, we evaluate it, we navigate it, we evaluate, and so on. This is very mechanical, but like I said, it's a system. I'm talking about systemic lens in the mind. I think it was in part 1 or part 2 I used the analogy of the mind is a spanner, and the universe, the reality we're thriving in is the nut, okay? So we have a phenomenological spanner and an ontological nut. So a spanner fits a nut, okay? So we have to understand how the phenomenological spanner fits the ontological nut, okay? So that's where I'm going with this. Anyway, I'm going to go many places with this. But today I just want to talk about the ego. The ego is an illusion, okay? So when we shake off the ego, the soul awakens, like I said. But what does that mean? You know, we have been wearing this biological suit for millions of years, okay? And the system I'm talking about has always been present in us. I truly believe that, and as we go along, I hope to prove that to be the case. Okay, chimps evaluate, chimps navigate, okay? We can take it right back to that. But anyway, another story for another time. But we've evolved and we've come up out of the dark. We've come up out of a kind of a solipsistic dark, if you will, as we navigated our way forward, okay, as we evaluated our way forward. And the ghost in the machine, I believe this system is all about the ghost, what I call the formulaic animal in the machine, something I'm getting to too. But anyway, we've evaluated our way forward, and we got lost in ego, we got lost in body. The soul, the true soul, the systemic soul got lost in body and brain and the environment, and it started to believe itself to have a self-identity, okay? So the ego, let's just consider the ego and how the modes relate to the ego. One important mode is engagement, the idea we can engage through science, we can engage with chemistry, we can engage with biology, we can engage with physics, we can engage with our families, we can engage with love, we can engage with dance. We can engage and we can disengage. We engage, we disengage. Now, when we engage with chemistry, okay, we're engaged with it, okay? And then we disengage from it, but we are still engaged with ourselves, okay? The system is still in play. If I'm engaging with you right now, and you're engaging with me, and when you disengage, you are still you. There's still something about you that is sentient, something that is conscious. So let's look at the ego. Let's engage with ego. Now, when we meditate, we disengage from ego. But when we disengage, we're still engaged with self. And it's important you understand this distinction. So when we engage with ego, When we engage with ego, we become aware of ourselves, the me, I, me, that side of ourselves, that side of identification. And we're all out to identify ourselves. And like I said, identification is a mode. We're trying to identify what the atoms are. We're trying to identify with molecules. We're trying to identify with self and with God and with universe and reality and so on. We're trying to identify, and we have an identification mode built in. It's part of the systemic set that is within all. So yes, true ego. The ego, I can dance, I engage with dance, I engage with foods, I engage with ice cream, I engage with oranges, I engage with play, I engage with my family, I engage with my son, okay? And I have a sense of self around all of that, okay? I engage with the stars, I engage with the ponds and swim in them, okay? And that's me in this garden, engaging in this garden, and that's the ego. Now, the ego, in one sense, isn't a bad thing. We usually think of the ego, you know, someone's egotistical, okay? But one can be either egotistical in an arrogant sense, or one can be egotistical in a humble sense, okay? It's okay to have a sense of self, okay? While we're thriving out here, everybody has a sense of self, and we give sovereignty to that sense of self. We give sovereignty to it, so we all respect one another and so on. So the ego can be a good thing, because the ego, like I said, once the ego is working at an optimal, once the ego is in balance, once the ego doesn't get ahead of itself, once the ego doesn't look down on other people, okay, once the ego doesn't believe itself to be beneath other people, once the self is in a strong, you know, once you have a strong sense of identity, okay, through the ego, there's nothing wrong with that, okay, so long as we show humility, like I said. But how are we engaged through the ego? While I'm in this reality, if I want to engage the ego with food, say, okay, I have to evaluate and navigate by what I want to eat, okay? If I want to create a meal and mix up ingredients, I have to evaluate the ingredients and I have to navigate myself by the ingredients. If I want to make a chicken stew, okay, I'm not going to use beans, I'm going to use chicken, and so on, because I am navigated by the ingredients I want to use, and therefore I evaluate and categorize accordingly. Point being, the modes are in play when we are engaged through ego. There's no getting out of the fact. When I want to engage through ego in relation to you, in relation to society, in relation to the world, to the animals on this planet, to every single aspect of this planet, once I want to understand it in relation to me, this idea of me, self-identity, like I said, all the modes are in play. I add myself on, I add you onto me, I evaluate you as being the same entity as me, I navigate all the parts to show that you are the same composition as me, composition being another mode, the idea we can compose ourselves around all the set variables of reality and so on. So anyway, the point being is ego. The ego has a systemic lens within, okay? We all have a systemic lens within, okay? And when we engage with ego, we get this idea of self-identity, okay? And so hopefully you can have, I've coordinated you around that fact, and you've evaluated and navigated, and you can concur with me. Okay, anyway, so point. Now let's disengage from ego. Let's disengage from the ego. Like I said, once I engage with science, I engage with the cell, I engage with animals, I engage with family, I engage with farming, I engage with capitalism, and I can disengage. I engage, I disengage, I engage, I disengage. It's mechanical, like I said, it's systemic, it's mechanical. I engage, I disengage. So when I disengage from the ego, what am I? Okay? All I can actually say is I am a set of systemic modes. Okay, and these are neutral, these are prior to ego, because if I evaluate, that's neutral. I can evaluate 1 + 1 = 2. I can navigate myself by the two aggregates and add it up. I'm adding, I'm evaluating, I'm navigating, I'm integrating, I'm unifying. 1 + 1 = 2. I've integrated, I've unified, I've evaluated, I've navigated, and so on, okay? So this is neutral. This has nothing to do with ego. This has nothing to do with me being male, Irish, all these illusions. This has nothing to do with me tasting food. This has nothing to do with me enjoying music through the ego. This has nothing to do with me eating food through the ego. This has nothing to do with me engaging in this dome of experiences, this domain of experience rather, yeah? This is this domain. So I'm just looking now, I'm just isolating all the modes, and I want you to consider them as a unit in themselves, okay, a unit unto themselves, a set of a priori modes that exist in every single human being, as a set, okay, as a unified set, think of them as a constellation of concepts, okay, a constellation. All these modes move in conjunction with one another, as I said. We evaluate, we navigate, we integrate, we unify, we identify, we add things up. So add this up. So anyway, this set is within all. It's an a priori set. It's a pure a priori set. And it is prior to ego. I know I'm reiterating, I'm repeating myself, but it is important, okay? And I'm streaming, so this is how streams go, you know, just raw and from the gut. This is all about the gut of phenomenology and getting down into the rawness of how we are seeing this reality, how we are organizing ourselves around this reality, how we are mapping ourselves onto this reality internally, okay? So anyway, this is prior to ego. This is the human mind without the ego attached to it, okay? Because the ego is all to do with sensorial experiences. And this is just me isolating a set unto itself, so you can hold it as a constellation of concepts and sit with it, mediate it, meditate with it, and just ask yourself what it is telling you. Anyway, I'm going to stream. On the next stream, I'm going to further build on modes and build on the idea of the mind being a formulaic animal. I believe the mind I believe we're one entity. I call it the formulaic animal, and it's wearing 7.5 billion suits, conduits, so it can conduct itself through us. And even though we're lost in ego right now, believing ourselves to be man and woman, believing ourselves to be the human species, I believe this just to be a conduit to allow the ghost in the machine, the formulaic animal in the machine, to conduct itself as it rises out of the dark to become whole again. Anyway, peace and love, and thank you for listening.